Follow me if you want to be forged by the sea. Have you ever wondered what the process was for enlisting in the military? Well, I'm your girl, and I'm here to let you know. So, the three main things that I'll be talking about today are taking the ASVAB, which is the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, going to MEPS, which is the Military Entrance Processing Station, and what you need to know to prepare for boot camp. So, first things first is taking your ASVAB. So, there are two ways to take your ASVAB. You can either take your ASVAB at a separate testing location, or you can take your ASVAB when you go to MEPS. Now, for me personally, I took my ASVAB at a second location instead of taking it at MEPS because I was ready before the next time to go to MEPS was. And today's information is my own personal knowledge. It's coming from military.com as well as recruiters. So, once you decide where you're going to take the ASVAB, you need to study for it. Because the better that you do on the test, the better jobs that you qualify for, and the more jobs that you qualify for. And some of these jobs have re-enlistment bonuses, and that's really good because that means more money for you in your pocket. So, you want to study science, you want to study math, you want to study reading comprehension, you want to study mechanical things, because all of those are each individual brackets on the test. And so after you take the test, each thing gives a cumulative score, and your cumulative score is what determines what jobs you qualify for. So, second thing on the list is going to MEPS. So, depending on whether you took your ASVAB or not, there's a process for MEPS. So if you haven't taken your ASVAB yet, when you get to MEPS, that is the first thing you do. And one thing about MEPS is you're there at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So the biggest thing is to get rest. So the first thing you'll do is take your ASVAB if you haven't taken it yet. If you already taken your ASVAB, you will be doing your physical. And that's just for them to make sure that you're physically fit to join the military. And after you do your physical, and after you're done with your ASVAB and doing your physical, because you'll do your ASVAB and then you'll do your physical, after that you will go to job selection. Now, one thing people do not know about going to get a job is that they can offer you a job and you can tell them no, that you don't want that job, and you can decide to come back later and try for a different job if you want a specific job. Now, coming back later does not guarantee that you get that job that you wanted or that you get better options, but it is something that you can do because with each job comes a ship out date. And so I only got one option because there was a quota that needed to be filled, and I got a high enough score that I qualified for that job. They needed more females in that job rating, and so I took it. Now, after you do your job selection, you'll swear in, and that's where you take your oath to the military, and you also take an oath to your state that you came from. So after you do that, then you go home. And so after you go home, you have a ship out date. So when you have your ship out date, the day before that day you're supposed to leave to go to boot camp, you go back to MEPS and you do the same process all over again. So you do another physical, and you do another swearing, and that's your final swearing before you get shipped off to boot camp. And so the biggest thing that you have to know is being prepared for boot camp. So you don't only need to be mentally prepared, but you also need to be physically prepared. You want to be physically fit when you get to boot camp, or you will struggle. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't as physically fit as I could have been, so I struggled. Because when you go in, you have to be, depending on your age range, you have a certain amount of time to run your 1.5 miles. You have a certain amount of time that you have to finish push-ups, and you have a certain minimum that you have to finish push-ups, and they used to be sit-ups, but now we do the plank. So then you have a certain amount of time that you have to hold your plank for. Now, what they're doing now for the enlistment process, for what they weren't doing before I joined in 2012, is they're having you do a physical readiness test before you even head out to boot camp. So that way, the better that you do on that test, the more money you can earn before you leave. And so, all in all of these things are what you need to know to go to boot camp, on top of knowing your chain of command, which is knowing from the president, the secretary of the Navy, secretary of defense, and then your chain of command, your commanding officer, and all of that when you're at boot camp. So, I hope this information has enlightened you some more about what it is and what it takes to join the military. And I want to close out by doing something for you. So, here we go. I'm going to stand at attention. I am a United States sailor. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I will obey the orders of those appointed over me. I represent the fighting spirit of the Navy and those who have gone before me to defend freedom and democracy around the world. I proudly serve my country's Navy combat team with honor, courage, and commitment. I'm committed to the excellence and the fair treatment of all. Hoo-yah, Navy!